Hey, what's going on with y'all niggas, man? I just got done smoking some weed with a little bit of crack rock in it. Well, actually, it was more than a little bit. Actually, it was quite a bit. I smoke crack. Hey, but listen, I got another reaction for y'all. This is the never-ending downfall of Brendan Schaub. This nigga is known for being extremely unfunny. I mean, he came to my city. I did not buy tickets to go see this motherfucker, man. We're gonna get right into the reaction. I ain't gonna say too much. I really want to see this. This video is like 20 minutes, so this is gonna be a long video. Let's get into it.
Brendan Schaub is in a never-ending downward spiral. It seems he can't go any lower until he does. His post-UFC career has been a never-ending downfall that I thought culminated in the worst comedy special of all time. A special that was so bad that the mention of it leads to laughter, and not in a good way.
You mean the Arlington where Gringo Poppy was filmed?
Wait, is that where that was filmed? Is it? How do you know that? How do you know that was filmed there?
I was fascinated by the entire
Just when you think things can't go worse for him, they inevitably do. And it always seems to be his own fault. You thought bullying Bobby Lee was bad. How about him being the butt of every joke in the MMA and comedy space? Or how about working with deviants at best, criminals at worst? Or when he hired a mentally unstable employee, fired said employee, only for that man to expose literally everything about Brendan's life, including his bathroom habits, substance addictions, and infidelity. Despite all of this chaos, in recent times it seems Brendan is in the worst place a comedian can be in, fading into irrelevance. But let's rewind a bit. Brendan is, first and foremost, in his own words, a comedian. But his ticket sales have been looking a bit dicey lately. I mean, look at his UK tour. The gray means sold, by the way. Brendan is constantly having to cancel shows for whatever reason he makes up that's not being a draw. Basically, he can't sell tickets and has to lie about it. Schaub once said he had to cancel a show in San Francisco because the district attorney got recalled right before his show was about to begin.
The DA got recalled, and he's like, "You thought crime was bad before?" He goes, "People aren't going out. Like, our restaurants are dead."
These San Fran streets are too dangerous. Ignore the fact that the Warriors had their championship parade right after he said this. It couldn't be the fact that most people think he's the worst comedian on the planet right now. But unfortunately, it is his own fault. And I know comedy is subjective, but Brendan stinks at comedy. Unless he's stealing jokes.
You know my favorite food is? Fajitas. I love fajitas. They bring them out, and it is loud. Smoke. It's like 4th of July. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, what is that? What the fuck is that?"
I go to Chili's and order fajitas. You know what I'm talking about? I order those fajitas. It's like popping. Those fajitas hit the floors all. I was like, "What the fuck? Come on." Right here.
He sucks so much that even his Make-A-Wish sponsor, Joe Rogan, won't let him play at his comedy club. Look how uncomfortable Brendan gets when somebody brings up Rogan's club, Comedy Mothership.
Have you been to Rogan's new place?
Nigga, that's what the outside looks like.
Called me and asked me to come and do a weekend there.
People love it.
Despite this, Brendan is somehow more of a joke in the MMA world. Brendan makes his predictions based on the fact he was a UFC fighter. On his show, Brendan will make predictions about UFC fights. And if you disagree with him, he'll make you feel stupid.
I just don't know how to bet against the Dagestani who gets you on the ground and just rains elbows, and you're not able to stand up. Because I would probably say, in many ways, he's Khabib 2.0.
Not true. Keep
and
going.
his striking is actually very, very good.
Really? Cool. Let me ask you this. Who's the best guy he's beat? And I've done this to people that know the game, too.
Yeah.
When I asked you earlier, why Makhachev, right?
Yeah.
And then I say, tell me the best guy he's beat. You can't. There's been he's not proven yet.
Well, he's only lost once in that entire. That's a lot. That's a good run right there.
But I go back to who has he beat. When we're talking about tip of the spear. Yeah.
So somebody put together a list of all of Schaub's predictions. In 23 fights, if you put $100 against every single person Brendan picked, you would be up $2,000. One of the top MMA shows right now, Morning Combat, makes constant references to the Fighter and the Kid subreddit, a forum that's dedicated to making fun of and exposing Brendan.
Is he walking me to my truck? What are you like? Where's he going? Like,
why would he be walking you to your truck?
I don't know. Was he? I'm not going to blow him. I mean, Luke, if the local DA gets removed at all leading up to this, would you consider not going?
I don't even know what does that mean?
For safety purposes, like that's all that means. But I had Ralph's White Charles, and it was just it was carne asada, and it was great.
Not only that, but Brendan's one and only saving grace in this world, his co-host Theo Vaughn, left him.
No, I'm going to be taking a step back from being on King and the Sting. I just want to thank you guys for just being a part of my life and letting this show be a part of your life. And
I didn't even know he had a podcast with Theo Vaughn.
Grateful to you, Brendan, man. Appreciate it.
You got to handle some shit, though. There's a bigger thing for you out there,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is exactly, man.
My favorite part about this is Brendan framing it as Theo has to get his life together. He has to sort some stuff out. But since leaving Brendan, Theo's been absolutely killing it.
But a huge win tonight. He celebrates with the Rat Theo Vaughn.
For old times, I should have done this in the middle of the show, but for old times, we maybe want to I'll eat a hot chip.
I want that.
Okay. So now he's stuck with 2 alleged sex offenders and Montez from Workaholics to run his mediocre podcasts with. His main co-host, Brian Callen, also collaborates with Husband of the Year, Steven Crowder, to create gems like this.
Yeah, I saw that. The fuck?
His comedic gold, what can I say? But despite working with such titans, Brendan's finances must have been dicey, as he's had to fire multiple employees. But the one we're going to focus on today is Mark Harley, or as the subreddit calls him, the Big Gay Lion, or just BGL for short, who was known as Brendan's handler. He would do a lot of Brendan's social media, go on tour with him, and help out with the podcasts. Okay. This man was known for being completely unhinged, as documented by the subreddit. And theories circled around that if he quit or Brendan fired him, he would turn on Brendan. Of course, that ended up happening, and things came to fruition when Mark was let go and proceeded to absolutely expose Brendan Schaub for everything. It started with a few stray shots on Instagram, then a post on the Fighter and the Kids subreddit, which was met with some hesitation from the users, as they knew Mark was completely unhinged. But slowly, Mark started to reveal his true intentions. He started leaking messages between him and Brendan, while simultaneously exposing what a bad guy Brendan was.
Brendan pisses and sinks.
This was all confirmed by this voice memo Brendan sent him after he'd leaked all this stuff.
What's up, brother? Sending your voice note, saying not to text you. I don't, for a few reasons. I don't know, man. I've been contemplating whether to pick me back up. You seem really upset, obviously. I'm hurt, man. If you wanted to hurt me, you got me, brother. You definitely got me.
But Mark wasn't satisfied with just shit-talking Brendan. So he did an official AMA on the Fighter and the Kids subreddit, where all of Brendan's dirty laundry was aired. Keep in mind, this is to a community whose sole goal is to make fun of Brendan. It's really like finding a diamond in a coal mine. Now, something that's not going to ruin your life, in fact, it's going to make your life a lot better.
You better not have a sponsor. No, fuck you.
Is on Reddit if you want to read it, but I'm just going to talk about some of the funniest parts. The number one thing he did was confirm what we all knew. Brendan contributes literally zero to the production apart from sitting down and attempting to talk to a camera. He also confirmed that Brendan is a pathological liar, but as I said, we all kind of knew this.
And, remember Blackfish? Did you guys watch Blackfish on CNN?
Sure did. Ruined SeaWorld.
Yeah.
Like, you watch Blackfish from the Depression, their fins are down. And I looked at my girl, I go, hold up. I've never seen this doc. Yeah. I'm ignorant to it. Yeah. But you've seen the dog and you still allow us to go to SeaWorld? Yeah, I go, that's fucked up.
What we didn't know is he apparently lies to everybody in his life, no matter what.
He's vaping. I go, oh, those are worse for you than cigarettes. And he goes, what the fuck you just say? I go, the vape's actually worse for you than cigarettes. He goes, who told you that? Like, oh, it's just what they say. He's like, who says that? I'm like, oh, wow. He was vaping. He goes, my doctor said these, he smoked cigarettes. He goes, my doctor said these are actually better for you. I go, they're not. He goes, how do you know? I go, fucking Google it, dude. They're not. He goes, really? I go, no. fucking threw in the trash. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He also said Brendan bought views for the Gringo Poppy. Also, the reason I'm censoring this word is because YouTube nuked my prior Brendan Schaub video, citing extreme profanity when I said this word, even though it's literally the title of Brendan's special on YouTube. So he bought views to get it to 1 million, which, if you didn't know, completely fucks your channel in the algorithm. YouTube says, wait, why are 30% of the people watching this in Bangladesh? Mark also said he bought followers on Twitter and Instagram, which is why his engagement rates are completely fucked. I mean, I can tweet this out and get more likes than Schaub on any given tweet. These are the brains we're dealing with at Thick Boy Studios. Brendan is also apparently very sensitive to any criticism. Even people giving him constructive criticism, he writes off as haters. He's also very negative about the Joe Rogan crew in Texas, like how he hates Shane Gillis, saying he doesn't want to suck on the teat of Joe like those guys. But to be fair to him, he already sucked it dry years ago. One of the dumbest things that Mark exposed about Brendan was that he pees in the sink. Apparently, there's a sink in the middle of Thick Boy Studios that Brendan pisses in every day, multiple times a day.
Dude, nothing makes me happier than peeing in a sink. I pee in the sink. Listen, there's nothing more satisfying to me when I pee in the sink. I pee in sinks all the time.
Me too.
I love it. Matter of fact, I feel like a Hell's Angel.
Is that not the most disgusting thing you've ever heard? He was also confronted by notorious germaphobe Howie Mandel about this when, for some reason, he was on his podcast.
Don't go to the bathroom there because you piss in the sink. What? They said that you said this out loud.
Wait,
Does he piss in the sink
don't
here?
go to, I've done it maybe once.
Okay, but
I mean,
so that was the whole thing.
emergency.
Nobody's talking about the fight. Everybody was saying, Howie, how are you going to go there? He pisses in the sink. Brendan talked about he pissed in the sink.
I had to be in the sink one time. It was a state of emergency.
But even worse than the sink pissing was Brendan being exposed for being an Adderall addict. Actually, by his own admission, he bought Adderall off the dark web. He said he does 90 to 120 milligrams a day.
Just got off Adderall. I had a problem. Wow. 3 30-milligram Adderalls a day for
You
a
take
year.
10? You take 10, you're fucked.
That's a lot.
You take 10,
That's
you're
a
fucked.
lot. I took 3 throughout the day. Now, if I had stand up, I'd take another. What did you get off of it? Just stop doing it. I was like, oh, you got a problem. I stopped. I went cold turkey, and then
How long has it been? About
It's
a day.
been
Couple days.
3 hours. No, it's probably been over 2 months now.
Did you go to a doctor and they like for
No, I was
psychiatric
buying
help?
it.
No, he doesn't go
dark
to the
web.
doctor.
Dark web. Don't do that. Don't say it.
Now, if this is true, which I will admit, there's a good chance it isn't, that is insane. Like, not even brag about insane. Like, you have a fucking problem if you're doing 90 to 120 milligrams of Adderall per day, not prescription. To put that in perspective, look at the average dose for Adderall. Besides him being a liar, another reason I'm skeptical of this is because he said he quit cold turkey, which off this dose of Adderall is basically impossible. What we do have empirical evidence of, however, is Brendan's alcoholism.
Guy,
We're
and
drinking the Kool-Aid.
David,
and you're drinking whiskey?
Maybe.
Oh, damn,
Are you triggered?
Well, look, I will say this.
Are you triggered?
I'm doing better than that. But you have alcoholism.
Who's drinking whiskey this morning?
Because it's so annoying.
Who's drunk? This guy's drunk.
He drinks on every single show, no matter the time of day of the week, whether he has to pick his kids up from jiu-jitsu after. He's also fully addicted to nicotine and leaves his nicotine pouches on the floor for the cleaning staff to pick up at night.
Nicotine's good for your brain.
Yes, that's why I started. Nicotine's good for your brain.
And I
That's
feel
the thing they found with like smokers, like our grandparents shit that were dying from smoking. They found out none of them had dementia or like brain issues.
Because they all died.
And if you thought he had any self-awareness about these addictions, he's much like Bert Kreischer. Complete denial at every step of the way.
Dude, Theo, who's not here today, he called me this morning, legit concerned, because yesterday, you know, when I do my shows, I drink, man. I like to have a good time. He's like, dude, I know we joke around about intervention, stuff like that. He's like, but for you to drink on most of the shows, it's concern. You're drinking to get through it because you hate it. I was like, Oh no,
Yeah.
you don't
Well,
get
you
it
love
twisted. I absolutely love it.
Now, as I said, all of this was exposed by Mark, and you might think, wow, this guy's sticking it to Brendan. But don't go thinking he's some hero. Like Icarus, he flew too close to the sun. Shortly after this, he had some kind of disturbing domestic stuff come out, which I won't get fully into, but it did culminate in a video of him deadlifting his wife's car as she tried to back out.
He's in front of my car. He's touching my car now. He's picking up my car.
Add in some allegations of infidelity and domestic violence, and you have your typical narcissist LA wannabe influencer couple. The funniest part about this is he thought he would be seen as this hero for exposing Brendan, and as soon as the subreddit was done with him, they just threw him out. But after all this got exposed with Mark, one last thing, not through his account, got leaked, and that was Brendan cheating on his wife. Constantly. This was confirmed through texts. Keep in mind, this guy also has 2 kids, so if you felt bad for him about any of this happening, know that the reason he tours the country to sell 10 tickets a show is so he can meet some baddies. And the next big drama that happened to Brendan was, well, nothing. Not much, at least. Which honestly, despite what he thinks, is probably the worst thing that could have happened to him. While he was being universally gawked at least he was relevant. At least people knew his name. People were paying attention to him. Maybe not for the reasons he wanted, but at least he was in the spotlight. As of late, it seems the Schaub train has left the station. The only real drama is his co-host being exposed again for being a predator and a groomer, which is probably the only form of attention that doesn't benefit Schaub. And if these allegations are true, Chris D'Elia is a fucking monster. But back to Brendan.
So you do that History Channel show, Hunting Hitler.
That was fun.
Did you ever find Hitler?
Yeah, so he died.
In recent times, he's been reminiscing about the glory days of the Comedy Store and Joe Rogan and how those days are gone.
You know, 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago at the Comedy Store, it was the Comedy Rap Pack. And we were the Rap Pack, and we were the guys, and every show was sold out. Our names on the marquee.
We were the guys.
The days of, you know, being in the hallways at the Comedy Store and the Improv and the Ice House and the Laugh Factory, where, you know, hey, podcast tomorrow? Yeah, podcast tomorrow. Those days are gone. I used to pull up, and Rogan would pull up in his Porsche, and we'd park next to each other, and we'd talk shop about the cars and what's next, and then Santino would pull up, and we'd talk to him with Chris D'Elia, and then Brian would pull up, and Bobby Lee and Theo.
But unfortunately, he's in denial about everything, and I seriously doubt he'll ever lean into anything that might save his career. But the worst part about this, Brendan literally has nothing to fall back on because he's never built something from nothing. He's always had a boost in whatever he's done. Fighting, he had The Ultimate Fighter. Podcasting and comedy, he had Joe Rogan. Being able to attract big names, he was on Showtime. He's never going to be that UFC fighter with a super successful podcast again. He didn't get fans from his stand-up, he got fans from Joe Rogan. So when these people leave, Brendan is done. It's unfortunate, but I think the only way he could save this is if he literally changed his entire personality, which, knowing Brendan, that's never gonna happen.
Damn. That video was very interesting, brutal, but necessary. Yeah, this nigga Brendan Schaub, man, he's not funny. He clearly has an ego problem. He clearly has substance abuse issues. He's clearly got a lot of issues that he has to work out. He got a lot of shit in his life that he has to get together, and hopefully he dials it back with the comedy and goes back to the fundamentals and bare bones of comedy so that he can actually, you know, work to get good like every other comedian does, and not just jump straight into, you know, podcasting and the Laugh Factory and trying to do specials and everything. It takes comedians years to get good enough to make a special, let alone have the material for a special, right? So, yeah. Link in the description for the original video. I'm gonna holler at y'all niggas next time, man.